afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Let's Talk About It with Alice. And we are here. We are live. We are excited. We got some great topics that we're talking about. And guess what? You already know it's Heart Health Month. Already know it's Black History Month. So we're excited. We got Terry on this afternoon.
Hello,
And we
everyone.
got Shawana on. Thank God
Hi,
she's back.
everybody.
And Dr.
Ayo Sekai.
Ayo Sekai, you are in for a treat. So remember, Let's Talk About It's all about life experiences, all about, life conversations. It is a platform where we're excited that we talk about the tough topics. And not only that, it is supportive. And we are excited to bring you relevant information, up to date information, and just to keep you connected. And we are excited about that. So today, as we started off with our Let's Talk About It, we're starting off and kicking off with Black history. What about it? Yes, we do have Black history. And so the one that I chose was, I've got so many. And one of the ones that really came to my mind is something that people usually don't talk about. Bishop Charles Allen, who started the first African American Episcopal Church. And remember when the slaves came over Jamestown, Virginia, and they had to worship, with their masters, and they had to sit up in the nigger heaven, which was the balcony, and they decided that they no longer want to sit up in nigger heaven. They came down on the floor, and they got kicked out and went out into the fields. And Bishop Charles Allen started the African Methodist Church. Check it out. All right.
Can I just make one comment? I know that typically we're not aware that we Black people were never slaves. Let me just say it that way. We are not slaves. We were in a system of slavery. So when we talk about Black people and slavery, we have to use the term enslaved Africans.
Enslaved. I love it.
Enslaved. ENSALVED. Enslaved Africans.
Enslaved. I'm writing that down.
That's right. We were enslaved. Black people were never slaves. So we were in the institution of slavery. So when they brought us here, it's a system, which goes back to our old topic we're going to get back to. So I'm going to stop now. Let you guys get back to
no. But that's what this is all about.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Because you rarely ever hear about those that was in the faith, as it relates to Black history. And so this one, I thought, Bishop Charles Allen, in fact, they were there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I believe, of course, it started in 1776 and then went to the 1800s. So, but we do know that Bishop Charles Allen was the one that started the African, went on to start that stuff. That was like great information that I thought was really interesting. All right. Terry, do you have someone?
Oh, I have two people. So my first one is, I bet y'all didn't know this. At 16 years old, Yvette Stevens joined the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party. Her duties were selling the Black Panther newspaper as well as helping start the free breakfast program for children. You may know her as Shaka Khan.
Wow! No! Did you know? Did you know? Are you serious?
Yes. And then my second one is Mamie Johnson, first woman pitcher in the Negro League. Mamie Johnson, one of the three women to play in the Negro League and the only woman to take the mound as a pitcher.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
that's good.
Did you know?
Did you know? Those are my two people.
Did you have one?
I have a special guest. That's who I plan to talk about.
Did you know? Did you know? No,
Yep, yep, yep. Well, I
that
did two for her. I
that
did the two for her.
that you're going to introduce her. So we will be celebrating Black History all this month, and we'll be bringing, a lot of those that we already know. But then, did you know that there was others that you don't hear about that we will be
Right.
bringing to the forefront? Let's talk about it with Ella. It's going to be great this whole month. But however, Shawana, you can bring our doctor on the scene. But we will say Heart Health Month, we will be celebrating Dr. Michelle. Will definitely be back with us, who's a cardiologist. We'll be talking about it. So we will have a chance to share about that. So without any further, can't wait because she already have jumped in. All right. And I love it. I love it. So Joanna, take it away.
Well, before we do that, I did have one COVID update. And I don't know if you guys are paying
Oh,
attention to the news, but
yes,
we have unfortunately hit the 900,000 deaths due to this
yes.
COVID outbreak.
The
And
COVID. Mm-hmm.
so we would just want to encourage everybody to continue to use wisdom out there, continue to mask up, continue to wash your hands, continue to do all those things that are necessary, and not take this lightly, but really to, be considerate of not only yourself, but other people as you go about traveling, whatever you're doing in your daily life. But this, is serious. I mean, we've hit 900,000 people in 2 years that just lost their life due to COVID. This is unprecedented, and prayerfully it'll stop sooner rather than later. But we just want to just encourage everybody to still do your due diligence. For those that choose to get a vaccine, we
Mm-hmm.
encourage it. If you choose not to, just use wisdom, while you're out there, because it's not something
Exactly.
that we take lightly on here. But the thing that we wanted to do is just ensure that we're passing on the messages and the information as we get it. Y'all
Yeah,
have
Absolutely.
that's
any
true. And
other?
also, while we're talking, and I know we're going to talk about it later, with this, did you read about the NFL? How one of the coaches started a class action lawsuit.
Yes.
Yes, and that is
It's just out of
huge.
Miami. That's a
Very
big
That
deal.
is huge.
Such
big
a big
deal.
deal. And it's so sad that, I mean, out of you have 70% or 75%, whatever that percentage is, of the players are African American, and
Hmm.
and only two, well, it was two coaches. Now you just have one coach out of the 32 teams that is African American or a black coach. And that
Right.
just
This
says a lot.
Mike
You know,
Tubman.
there has to be some form of something, racism, whatever is going on. It is a
Exactly.
systemic issue that needs to be addressed. And I'm glad
Hmm.
they brought it to the forefront. And
Hmm.
it's unfortunate that it had to come down to this. And the thing that interested me about this coach was he started turning Miami back around, and then you get fired. So that part just threw me for a loop. But it's
Right.
unfortunate, and I'm glad that he stood up. He said,
Right.
if it helps one, or two
Yes.
coaches or whatever, if
Yep.
it just helps shape the system, that he did the right thing.
Other
Yes,
coaches have joined in too with that. Other black coaches have joined in too with that.
It's important
Hmm.
because coordinators, the not even, let alone, I mean, the head
Right.
coach position, but you have all these offensive, defensive coordinators. There's so many positions, and it's unfortunate that they limit the number of blacks, but yet blacks are the ones that are helping them make the billions of dollars that they're making each and every year. So
Hmm.
absolutely.
that's our two
Agreed.
cents on that.
Thank you
But
for that update, Terry. That's really good.
yeah,
Keeping us on top of what's really going on in the news as it relates to her. If anything should change, it starts with us, and we have to start.
Right.
So, if we need raising the level of awareness and bringing things out to the forefront, we have to do it. So much has been covered up and just been swept under the carpet, but no, everything is coming to the forefront. All right. All
All
right,
right.
Shimona, are you ready for our
I
special guest?
I'm so ready. I mean, I was just blessed to meet her just recently, and so it's just my pleasure to introduce you guys to Dr. Ayo Sekai. She is the founder and publisher of United Writers Publications books. This
Universal
is
Right
a
Publications.
Universal Right. Why did I say United? Universal Right Publications books. And this is just a powerful company, and I'll let her share more about that. But she's the CEO. Sakai prioritizes historical legacy and Black academic excellence through rigorous peer reviewed titles, demonstrating a commitment to African Americans to produce new research that relies on African narratives through academic scholarship and cultural Afrocentric agency. She sits on a variety of organizations. She's a board member of a woman's wing serving the DMV and founding board member of Friendly Law, where she implements synergy of linguistic imperialism and politics. And I will let you go on because that's like a mouthful, but I think it's so important for you guys to know that she earned her doctorate, her PhD from the real HU. I guess that people want to say
That's
it, but my daughter
right.
says Hampton is the
You?
PhD. Thank you,
Hampton.
Dr.
no,
Michelle
she came
Well.
out of Howard University.
Oh,
So she came out of Howard
look at that.
University,
And
specializing in Black politics and international relations. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce a powerful sister, and I might have to say a friend of the family. So and
Mhm.
Jamaican born, Dr. Ayo.
Oh,
and
okay.
did you know, I say, did you know this is Black History? Dr. Sakai.
Okay.
Introduce yourself to us, to the world, because you were just, I mean, a breath of fresh air just talking to you the other day. And I thought, you have to have a conversation with us. Please talk to us about what is going on. You're like
That
in
is
the
really
thick of things.
Well, before I do that, I want to give you some flowers too, because I don't like the fact that your name just says Shawana, Doctor.
Dr. Clark.
I know, right?
Dr. Clark, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, because
So we got to make
you
that change, Dr. Clark.
you got to change that because you earned it. We
That's it.
know that we were talking, we're talking about, let's talk about it, right? So
Yeah,
we know that in the news with when Dr. Biden, Jill Biden got into office, they were trying to discount our degree by
right.
saying
Yes.
that it's not a med degree. And we all know that a PhD and a terminal degree of our level is higher than an MD.
That's right.
Okay, so you earned it. You need to put those. Ah, yes, sister. That's right. You claim it. You earned it. And I tell people all the time because some people want to say, oh, it's narcissistic to say, doctor or all of that stuff. But no, it's not. We are in the 0.011%.
Come on.
That's right.
Okay, of and that's just at that level. And when you talk about black people, it's even less.
Right.
Okay, and that's
Mhm.
globally. That's not just here in the DMV. That's globally. So,
That's
sister,
right.
you have earned it. Please
Thank you.
claim it. It's a title, just like when you change from Miss, and Mrs. Nobody call you, Miss anymore when you become a Mrs. because you're married, and it indicates that
Right.
there's a significant change in your designation.
That's
So it
good.
is something that
Mhm.
people should respect and
That's
honor,
good.
and I am learning to claim that as well. And
Thank
sister, I
you.
want to give you your flowers and uplift you.
Thank
you're
you.
we're
Thank you.
we are all beautiful and powerful. Mama Alice. I mean, and Miss. I don't know. I'll say Ms. Terry because I don't know what your designation is.
Miss
But
is fine.
but when you've gone that extra step to earn it, sister, you know that's
Thank
your power.
so
Thank
So,
you.
so
Thank you for putting everything in perspective.
Perspective.
yes.
So
yes.
good.
Exactly.
And we have to and that actually brings us into that whole conversation, right, of what's going on in the world politically.
Yeah.
Now
Mhm.
now we've gone on to like burning books and talking about we don't want our, the, I guess I would like to say, the global majority or the, white supremacy or the hegemonic race, instead of just saying white people, because all white people do not believe this, right?
That's
And the
Right.
right.
reason why it's really important for me to say that is because there were white people who had to teach Frederick Douglass and all of us to,
Yeah.
our enslaved ancestors to read and write when we were brought here to a country that we did not understand.
Right.
There were white people who put their lives on the line and marched on Washington with Martin Luther King and died because they did not
Mm-hmm.
believe what was going on with racism and discrimination. So we
Right.
That's
cannot
right.
just say all white people as a blanket statement.
That's
I
right.
mean, even for my company, Universal Right Publications, I have partnered with Sage Publishing. That is a white, private, one of the international global publishing companies in the world, and they have put my company in a perspective to be competitive on a
Mm-hmm.
global scale,
Right.
and create a niche
Wow.
to partner with and promote Black academic excellence in a way that most companies not doing it. People can say they're making me their competitors, but if you're smart, their people have always been helping us. They've always been good people across the board. So I just
That's
want to
right.
acknowledge that, and I want to say white supremacist. I want to say racist. I want to be intentional to say the global majority or anything along those words. As a linguistic imperialist specialist, it's really important to understand that words matter, and we recognize that, especially with Trump, right? Last administration, we
Right.
realized that words do matter. What you
Right.
say get turned into practice. It becomes
Yes.
a habit. It turns into practice, and then it gets trickled into policy. And those
Right.
policy become what they use to, manage and enforce and perpetuate
Yeah.
racism. So we are talking about, going back around. We're talking about critical race theory. That's what critical race theory is.
Before
It's
you take us to critical race
okay.
theory, though, tell us your story. Like, tell us who you are. Like, how did you even get from where you were when you started into your career to where you are now, where you said, you know what, we need to do something about Black excellence in literature and peer reviewed journals and things of that nature, and books and publishing and all of that. How did you go from where you were to where you are now?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Excellent question. Oh my goodness, it's very difficult. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my mentors at Sage, and my mentor, Dr. Malefikati Asante, who is currently one of the world's most renowned Black philosophers. He has published almost 100 books.
Wow.
He created the Journal of Black Studies that celebrated 50 years today, this month, through Sage Publishing. Created the first PhD program at a white institution. I mean, he is just phenomenal. And when I talk to them, and they tell me, especially now, do you understand the responsibility that you've taken on with the concept of publishing Black academic excellence and publishing books? And once I begin to learn the responsibility of being a publisher, I think if I had known that when I started then, I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably still would have,
Mhm.
because it's a spirit thing and you're just kind of moved
Mhm.
by the spirit, and you just kind of do the things that you were destined to do. And when
Right.
you're destined to do something, and I try to liken it to being like a hero, not that I'm a hero, but heroes are not made, right? They're born. And you don't know if you're a hero until you're put in a position to put your life on the line or make some drastic decision until the moment occurs. So
Right.
a hero don't know that they're going to run out in front of a car to save a child that's about to be hit until they actually do it, right? You're called to
Mhm.
action, and you just do it. And I think I would have done this anyway, because I wake up every day, and with every breath that I take, this is something I want to do. So going
Mhm.
back, I'm an immigrant, as you said, Dr. Clark. I was born and raised in Jamaica. I came to this country at 14 years old as a teenager and went to Brooklyn, New York, and where I couldn't finish high school. And I started my college education. But one of the things that I learned being first generation college educated, and also to be at this level, I'm the only person in my family, both my mom and father's side, who have a terminal degree at this level. And one of the first things that I learned is, one of my basketball coaches, he said to me, find something that you love to do, find a way to make money at it, and you'll never work a day in your life,
Wow.
right?
Right.
And I have not gotten that to that place yet where I'm making money where I can quit my day job. But
Soon.
but yes, but when you believe in something so much, you're going to invest in it. You gotta feed into your passions and your interests. Okay, so
That's
that's the
good.
first thing. The second thing that I learned being an immigrant and first generation in this country is that you got to own something.
Yeah.
You've got to own something. And
Own
so
something.
that's right. You gotta own something. You gotta you know, and not a car and not fancy shoes and expensive purses. You gotta own something. And
Come
we know
on.
that land and legacy is one of the things that build wealth.
Right.
Legacy. And Dr. Clark, you're over there with one of what I call one of my favorite attorneys and one of the best attorneys in the world because that's how I think of him, and I'm sure you think of him that way too.
Yeah.
And he will
We do.
he will tell you the same thing. Land owning, a part of that land base, wealth, is important, and we know that's important, right? Because the hegemonic, race, you know, they know that because that's why
Right.
they go to different countries and steal land and steal country. They displace the Indians, they displace the Africans. No matter where you go, this is land. Even in voting rights, we know that it's all about gerrymandering and redlining. It's all about land and
Right.
space.
Yes.
So we have
Yeah.
to understand that's important. So again, being born poor and raised poor, I wanted to own something. I wanted to have a legacy, and I wanted to break the cycle. And I decided that I love to write. I've always written poetry. I was writing fiction books.
Mhm.
I got opportunity to learn the publishing industry from some of the top publishing companies in the world in New York City. And I thought I want to do this. And
Mm.
so in 2004, I founded Universal Right Publications. And I know it's a mouthful. Now we fondly refer to it as UWP books with the
Yeah.
acronym. But Universal Right Publications came to my heart because I felt it was my universal right to write. It
Yeah.
was my universal right to state the claim to the thing that I am passionate about, words that I love, books, writing that I believe saved my life.
Yeah.
And so that's why we came up with that name. So, of course, now, almost 20 years later, I am where I am, but not before meeting Dr. Malefikete Asante in the beginning of my PhD program. And he started sharing a lot about the racism and discrimination that happens in publishing because before I was publishing, biography, children's books,
Mhm.
working with school systems, all of that stuff. I don't do that anymore because as a scholar myself, going through the program, I realized it was very difficult to find black scholars, contemporary black scholars talking about the situations of today to cite
Right.
and we know that citation is important so that you're not plagiarizing.
Right.
Citation and reference is important by giving people credit where credit is due. And even a little simple thing as in conversation. If somebody told you something in conversation, you don't go around and go, oh yeah, and I just came
It's
up with it
yours.
in my head. Right. No, this person contributed this knowledge to me. You give credit where it's due. Right.
That's good.
So that
Yeah.
was very difficult. And then as I went through the process of my PhD education, one of the things that I started learning is the first thing they tell you, get published. Start
Yeah.
the first year because if you don't start the first year, it's going to take 4 or 5 years for you to get published, if you get published at all. And if you go to the white publishing companies, they're going to tell you to censor your words, water it down because you can't talk about Black history and Black people, as openly as you would like to because they're not going to like that, which again goes back to the whole thing with CRT, right? My
Right.
company, my company was set up. Dr. Sanchez said, you know what? You can't get a job with a terminal degree if you're not published. You cannot get tenured if you're not published. If you work for an institution, you cannot get a grant for NSF, NIA, Department of Education. You cannot get a federal grant if you're not published. And part of your job is to bring money to the university.
That's
You
right.
can't get tenured and you cannot get promotion. You just cannot work. So your entire livelihood depend on academic peer reviewed publishing and work. And
That's
so
right.
that became my mission to give
Wow.
opportunities to my classmates and my colleagues and my professors to publish academic peer review work. And that's another way that Sage is helping my company by giving me access and coaching and mentorship to teach me how to make sure that my company is the same rigor, the same peer review, the same excellence that nobody can compete and complain or dispute or undermine the validity of our works
Wow.
just because we're a black company. And when I
That's so
tell you,
good.
sisters, that we're a black company, I'm telling you that we're a black company.
Yeah.
Okay, woman-owned company. You know, you got to be black to publish with my company, but we all know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, right?
Right.
Right? And what that means is not everybody gonna believe in the same thing you do. A lot of us are still enslaved mentally. We still have that mental,
Yeah, that is something that about
right?
that slave mentality.
Yes, yes, because I have a poem called "Skin Folk Ain't Necessarily Kinfolk," and just because you look like me don't mean we're equally yoked. Because because
Oh, you
because
need to do that because I didn't realize that you were a poetic or a poet until I was reviewing your and I thought, oh, she needs to share, some of her
I'm with you.
some of the poetry. So before we get off, if you have one, you definitely got to put it out there.
okay, I'll try and like pull something up, really quick. I mean, and make sure that we have something to finish off with. But yes, absolutely, and with that, we know that there was always black people who were willing to save the master's house, rat out Harriet Tubman, and do all kinds of stuff. And we see it right now in the Republican Party. We got those black token people, in the background standing there talking about they believe in what's going on, and they're not, and they don't understand that they're perpetuating the same madness, right?
Mhm.
They say that the very definition of insanity, right, Doc, is saying and repeat, doing the same thing over and over and
Over
expecting a
and
different
over.
result. And that's
Right.
exactly what's been happening throughout history. So universal right publication is being strengthened through SAGE to really make sure we have the rigor, the scholarship, black academic scholarship, to protect black legacy into perpetuity, because I've got an assignment. And I didn't know it was an assignment. I didn't understand that concept until I've gotten older.
Right.
17 years later, because I've poured and fed into my spirit and fed into my belief and my passion, I'm now receiving the kind of support I have. And of course, that's where, your wonderful husband, Dr. Clark, has been so amazing in supporting me on that legal end as well.
That's
To make sure, as the attorney on my board, to make sure that we have all of the legal protection that we need, and I cannot be more grateful for him. So yes, absolutely,
so
that's where we are.
that is so
Also,
good. Go, I don't know, Mom.
one of
You
the
had a,
questions that oh, Shawana.
no, I'm sorry. You go ahead. I can come after you.
Yeah, I'm just so intrigued with listening to you and just really hearing you. But I'm thinking about our young, young people, especially our college students and even our younger students. But um, helping them to understand, Black history. What we know is that they're trying to really take Black history out of the school. They don't want, our children to really know about their history. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Alice. That's the biggest brain racking thing that we're all trying to figure out, because it's not being taught in K through 12.
Right. It's not.
I mean, let's just start there. Critical race theory is really being taught in law, in the military, and in post-secondary education. So we're
Wow.
talking about masters, PhDs, PharmDs, EdDs. You know, that's where it's being taught. It's not even being taught, in K through 12. However, what is happening? The misnomer is that history and critical race theory is the same. The marketing person from Sage, my partner from Sage, she's always saying that. Why are they confusing history and critical
So
race
confusing.
theory? It's two completely different things. So you see white people, the crazy ones, the white supremacist ones, the ones that don't think that they're racist, but they're exuding all kinds of microaggressions, you
Right.
know, and those people, you see them, they're forming all kinds of mother groups talking about, oh, my little white baby coming home feeling guilty about being white. My little white baby feel bad because they're saying that white people did bad people things to black people. Tell me the lie. Where is the lie? Okay, so now they're trying to ban things like Martin Luther King. How are you going to ban Martin Luther King from fourth grade? little fourth grade books where they have, they talk about
Mhm.
like the march, like the
Mhm.
sit-ins
Right.
where the little kids sat in
Mhm.
and they took this praise and they watered down the kids.
Yes.
They
Mhm.
want to ban that because I don't want my little white babies to realize that police officers could be mean. I
But they
don't
need
want
to understand so that they don't repeat it. You need to understand so that it's not repeated. And I mean, that's why it's history.
Exactly.
You don't want it to be repeated. And so I think that's the
Mhm.
thing that throws me for a loop is that if we're learning everybody else's history, why do we not want anyone to learn our history?
Our
I don't.
that
history.
part.
And
That
all
part.
of the history. It's
Right.
all of the history. I
Mhm.
Because
think
you
it's
cannot have history with just one person, right? White
yeah.
people
Right.
cannot exist without black people. This whole nation was
Right.
built on the backs of black people.
when
There is
I when I
there,
go to when I
yeah.
go to Savannah, Georgia, and I see the bricks that were laid
Hmm. Hmm.
on the river front,
Right.
and then our slaves went. They put them on the chopping block after they've laid the bricks. Come
Mhm.
on,
Yeah.
all of
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
is history.
Yes.
And I think
All
it's
of the
so
history
important
is
that our
our
children are educated on the
Mhm.
history. This is where we come from. This is what happened to our ancestors. This is what happened. Even being a part of history ourselves, marching downtown. I am a baby boomer, so just being a part of all of that with Dr. King and marching downtown at Leb's restaurant, where our governor at that time, had an
Mhm.
axe handle and
Mhm.
wouldn't let blacks in. And I think about a lot of the department stores you couldn't, or I would say pharmacies, that we could not go in. We could walk through the store and purchase things, but we could not go to the counter
Hmm.
to buy anything to drink. So I mean, what's wrong with children knowing that we will
Well, the
deprive
thing
them
is,
of things?
yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. The thing is, while they're so worried about their children learning Black history, they have never once taken into consideration how Black kids feel every day being taunted, traumatized, tormented, told that we're ugly, we're lazy, we're unkempt, we're good for nothing, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. How how do you think we feel being told
Mhm.
that throughout history? And right now, even my company, Universal Right Publication, is actually doing like a whole campaign for Black history called Black History Did Not Begin with Slavery. A whole
Right.
campaign, right? Because
well,
guess what? There were 7 dynasties of African kings and queens before Black people even stepped foot on this land, right? And also one of the things that we need to understand too throughout history, because if our little babies, if our little Black boys and girls, our little brown babies even unrealize even realize how powerful they were, they will show up different in the classroom. They will
Right.
show up with their head held high, like I am a queen. Like
yes,
one of my poems go, I am queen. Walking through the land of milk and honey, I know I've been touched. Like my
yes,
great Nubian sister queens of Mahat, who have been the adoration and impersonation throughout antiquity, through like the Congo warriors strong and fierce. We rule with passion and love so deep, we've been forever misunderstood. If our little Black boys and girls knew, if they even knew how beautiful and amazing and powerful they were, they would show up different. They would excel. Carter G. Woodson say, Black children were born brilliant.
yes.
Okay? They tell you that you cannot teach a Black child unless you can love a Black child. And the
Wow.
thing is that this
Wow.
country does not love us. And the only reason why they keep their foot at our necks is because they realize how powerful we are. Just
Right.
imagine, just imagine for a second how much Black people have persevered, resisted, and gotten through to be some of the most powerful doctors, lawyers, engineers, creating the light bulb, building all kinds of things that we need. Just
Yeah.
imagine what we have done with the foot of the oppressors on our neck.
Mhm.
Now imagine what we could do if we didn't have that.
Right.
Wow.
Mm,
Right.
mm.
Powerful, right? Just
Yeah.
Powerful.
imagine. what we could do if we were not constantly up against, being told we are no good, being told we're lazy, being told that the system of Jim Crow and KKK and the school to prison pipeline, these are systems that has perpetuated the marginalization of Black people. These are systems that were created by
Right.
the dominant white races. And these are the systems that we are fighting against when they develop critical race theory to give us a theory, a methodology of examining racism and
Mhm.
the system of racism. Literally,
Mhm.
that's all it is.
Yeah,
Wow.
I guess one question I have for you is, I know because we're about to wrap up, is what is your recommendation then for us as parents that are out there, and we're, hearing this, the lies that are being perpetuated, and people are just getting, these sound bites about critical race theory, and now they're converting it into, now it's going to be this platform, for all these future elections. What are your thoughts? How do you recommend, or what do you recommend that we need to do as a people in order to help change the narrative?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and that's what we need, and that's what I'm into trying to do, and that's what my peers and my mentors are trying to do. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. We're educating ourselves and each other. Go
Mhm.
out, all the books that are being banned, go out and buy them and support them. It's great to do the Kindle and the e-reading and all of that stuff, but guess what? Batteries die. And if we're being marginalized and we're poor and we're struggling, we don't have time to afford iPads and Kindles when you're considering putting food in the bed in your belly. And when those things don't work, guess what? A book still work. Okay, and
That's
a book
right.
carry on through history. So get the books, read to your children, encourage them to read. Okay,
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
Universal Right Publications are doing, like we're, like there's tons of Black educational publishing companies out there, but Universal Right Publication is the only global right now Black owned academic peer reviewed social science company. Go to a
Wow.
company if you're looking to publish. If you're a scholar, you're in undergrad, that even undergrad, masters, whatever, PhD, and you're looking to publish, go to companies, try and get your work published. If you're a parent, go to the resources that are there. Go to the MKA Institute. They give talks all the time, free resources. Contact us, ask your question. We have, an advisory board, a robust advisory board, and editorial board. We will answer whatever questions we can for you. We're on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, you name it, LinkedIn. We're on all the social media, and we're trying to give unique information like you did, Alice, and you did, Terry. You brought in some information that are little known facts. We're trying to do that as well, give little known facts a platform so people know where to go to get information, to know that you're powerful. And
Yeah.
try to read information beyond what is being told. We all know about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks or whatever, but
Yes.
go beyond that.
Go
Black
beyond that.
black people did not start with slavery. Go beyond that. Go and find out
Mhm.
about the seven dynasties. Find out about Queen Makeda, Queen Nzinga, the warrior princesses. The kings of Mahat. I have
Mhm.
like lists that I've been creating and working through and learning. There are two. There's
Mhm.
like a little book. This is a little tiny book right here. It's called "Let the Circle Be Unbroken." It's no more than maybe like what is this, like 50 pages? It's an old book. It was published by Mariana Ani, and of course it's all
Mhm.
written up because of course I use this for my decision guide. With tons of notes in here. I'm gonna try to find the publication date for you. This was published in 1980. Tiny little book. Let the circle be unbroken. This will give you information. Any little child can read about how powerful they were here. To learn about the enslaved and to understanding slave mentality, I recommend this book, The Willie Lynch Letter. It's also about maybe 20 pages, and basically it's a letter that the white slave masters wrote and said, "I will teach you." Willie Lynch said, "I will teach you how to make Black people slaves and make their children slaves and make their children's children slaves." Okay, and it's a blueprint, and they have followed it. From what I understand, there's somebody has actually published a new book about that, that has actually talking about, this mantle in the wilderness letters. I think I saw that at Source of Knowledge Bookstores, one of the only black bookstores that's in New Jersey right now, and they are phenomenal. I mean, amazing, and they have
What
an
is it
updated
called? The
the
bookstore?
source,
What
the Source of Knowledge Bookstore,
a sort of
and
knowledge.
and it's a black man. When you see it, I mean, it's got like the Sphinx and a set, and all of these great things, the pictures on the. I mean, like, it's just amazing,
Oh,
And that one, and then I had a professor, Dr. Kemet Shockley, who wrote this book, The Miseducation of the Black Child, which is a spin-off
yes, I've heard
on
of
Carter
it.
G. Woodson's book. And this book talk about the dynasties of black people before. These are small, little, tiny books, easy read, bedtime stories. They're flat, they're little, And of
Uh,
course, Carter G.
But
Woodson.
Dr. Saki, when
I'm
people,
sorry. Go ahead.
Sakai.
Sakai, Dr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sakai, Sakai, Dr. Sakai, some parents feel like, is this Black history all necessary? You know, what do you say to that?
I say throughout history, all the people who fought and died just to get that 1 month to honor black people, are you going to spit in their faces?
Mm.
Wow.
That's what I say. What do you mean it's
So,
unnecessary? What do you mean? First of all, it's black history all day long, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's black history all day long because nobody's history exists without our history.
Right.
But we get this one day. Are we going to throw it away, or are we
yeah,
going to build on it? The people before us, our ancestors before us, the Frederick Douglass, the Maya Angelos, the people before us, they built and they persevered through some horrible times, and now it's our turn to carry the baton. We have to build on that. We have to keep fighting and keep persevering. We can do a little bit at a time to pitch away at the mountain of this
yeah,
construction of race that is like a socially constructed terminology,
right,
because there's no such thing as race. All black
right.
people came from race. One of my mentors, I call her mother, Dr. Nadav, and I suggest also that everybody read her book. I don't want to,
All
get up and
right.
go brag about, but she wrote the book, The Afrocentric School, and that book is so powerful because it has real life lesson plan for children from K to 12, where
Yes.
Wow.
teachers and children can actually go into that book and look at
Okay.
things about how black people created yoga, how to
Yeah.
think, how sounds impact us. I mean, she is so amazing. Like, so
Wow.
amazing. Like, I just can't get over. I'm just so grateful every time that I get to talk to some of these
Right.
phenomenal scholars who have been blocked by white publishing companies that get published, but
Right.
the information is out there. The Afrocentric School, The Falsification of the African Child by Amos Wilson, another like powerful person. I have a Carter G. Wilson book, but I can't pull that. Some of my books are like a
Right.
little bit above because they're like
Well, we're gonna bring you
they're
back again. We definitely
next
gonna bring
time.
you back. We gotta bring you back again. I
You know
wanted
what?
to
I
make
can
sure
get some of your sources. What I'll do is get some of your resources that you
and
can
then
talk
post
about,
it.
and then I will post it on our page, because I think it's going to be so important for people to have something to go back and refer to. You have been amazing. We thank
So,
you so much.
right. I
Thank
mean,
you so much.
amazing. I did
Yes.
want to make one correction. That was Bishop Richard Allen. Richard Allen was the one that went on to help start the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And I just wanted to make that correction just to make sure that, I give out accurate information to everyone. So that was Bishop Richard Allen. He was the one that actually went on to help start the African Methodist Church. And one great thing that was known about them was the fact that there was a organization that they actually started prior to that. So that was in Philadelphia when that was started. So the African Methodist Episcopal Church was started by Bishop Richard Allen.
So,
That is a known fact.
Dr. Ayo, You have just been amazing, so enlightening.
Amazing.
And I think that you gave us a lot to think about. It was absolutely powerful. The just everything that you share. I definitely want to, like I said, get those resources so that we can repost it for everybody. We have got to have you back. We thank you for what it is that you are doing out there, the message that you're putting out, and in the lies, that you're really trying
Yes.
to enlighten and get even all of us a way to even view slavery or enslavement. I hadn't even heard it even put in that frame. So thank you so much for just sharing with us and coming on and just being such a powerful person on this show today. We're just so grateful and even
Yes.
schooling me about myself. So thank you.
Yeah. Did
Listen,
we did we
I'm a
have any
reflection of
comments?
that.
Say that again.
Did we have any comments in the
Oh,
comments?
okay.
I didn't see any at first though, but I'll look again.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
no,
Dr.
I was
Ayo.
just
I don't
gonna
know.
say I'm a
Yeah, we
reflection
do.
of you beautiful sisters. I'm a mirror reflection. So whatever you
Any at
see in
first
me,
though,
I
but I'll
see in
look
you as
again.
well. I wish did I have a few minutes to do that a quick poem for you? I posted something on February 1st.
Yes, you do. And then we're gonna go to the comments in our
Oh,
comment section.
okay.
Terry's gonna think we had a couple of comments here if you want to say
Yes.
what those were.
Okay.
Yes.
There was um is that
Tashabe.
Tishabe Thompson?
Tashabe.
Tishabe. No, she said no, Shaka Khan. Really? I guess she didn't know that. And then Tina Galloway, it's American history. Tina Galloway, many of the majority social groups lack understanding of our why. And Alfred Flanagan, second, beautiful and well put, Dr. Ayo. Ayo.
Like
Ayo.
that.
Ayo.
That's so awesome. So yes, go ahead and so the week we have to close at just before 7. So you're perfect timing. Go ahead and give us that. What do you call it? Spit? I don't know. What's the term for?
Yeah. Well, spitting is when I have it memorized and I go in and I do that whole thing like
Okay.
I was doing earlier. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this. I read this and posted it on for Black History Month. It just kind of moved me and it came into being while I was sitting here. So I call it "We Are the Eternals."
Okay.
Add your name. Say your name. This is not some fiction you are in the mood to proclaim. This is your birthright, rooted in a history of empirical majesty, a thief, a liar, a perpetuator of at every turn. There are so many misnomers we need to unlearn. Add your name. Say your name. You are Black history. I am Black history. We come from a richness and power so infinite they had to create a system to keep us contained. Out of all this darkness, our light shines brighter than the sun. Sons and daughters are sleeper cells sharpened by your tyranny and hate. But to date, they haven't been able to smite the sight, height, brilliance, or intelligence of all that we rise to. It's a superpower assignment made only for us to understand. Black history won't make sense to fools and insolent shadow people in constant identity crisis because they were not chosen to exist in our space. Beautiful, melanized grace, bold, beating hearts full of pride and dominance. So add your name. Say your name. You
Mhm.
are Black history. I am Black history. Let's tell our story. Reclaim the narrative as the ancestral griots buried in our blood memory. Say her name.
Mm.
Add his name. Rise up, sleeper cells. We are the Eternals.
Wow.
Woo! Love it.
This has
Wow.
been This has been, oh my
Yes.
God, you have just been awesome. Thank you so much. This was really good. Well, you heard it, Justin. Black history. Listen, this has been Let's Talk About It with Alice. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Again, we are celebrating all this month. Black history, bringing you the information. Also, we're celebrating Heart Health Month as well. and my have our hearts been blessed with.
Yes,
Oh
absolutely.
goodness, Dr. Psychic. I just
Bye.
enjoyed you. And as always, we always say love
Peace
And
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 increase.
increase to
increase.
you. We say God bless you. And listen again, go back, share this with someone. And we say to you, don't forget, if anything can be done, it starts with you. And we just
Exactly.
believe that it starts with us. So, whatever it is that you can do, do it. But one thing that I really, really enjoyed and share with, our audience this afternoon, it's the fact that it's not in the hills, it's not in this, but land. You need to own some land. I just think that's great. Thank you so
Exactly.
much. And we just will have you back.
If
Last
you
words,
guys
Terry. Last
want to
words,
learn
Shawana.
more, if you
Go
want to
ahead.
learn more about universal right, universal right um,
Publications.
publications, and it's all about writing books and black excellence. We encourage you to go to uwpbooks.com.
Hmm.
UWP Books, Universal Right Publications. Books.com. So uwpbooks.com, and you can learn more about
Hmm.
Dr. Ayo Sekai. You can go to her YouTube channel. You can learn more about her
Hmm.
there. You could also go to uwpbooks.com to get more information. But we are just so grateful for you. So thank you again so much for joining us, and
Thank you
God
for
bless
joining
you.
us. Please come back.
Yeah.
Thank
Any
you
last words,
anytime.
Terry? Is that it?
Anytime.
Thank you,
You guys
thank you,
are
thank
family
you.
anytime.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you will be coming back. Oh, we thank you for it. God bless. Have a good one. Bye bye.
See you guys
Bye
next
bye.
week.